Good evening to all of you, and welcome to this week's weekly market presentation by Sri Securities. So, first of all, I will take you through this week's market performance, and it will followed by the key economic highlights, and of course, some points from the global content, global commodity markets, and the international financial markets as well. So first of all, looking at the this week's market performance, as you can see in the screen, for the first three trading days of this week, market ended up in red zone, whereas extending the losses that have been incurred in the previous week. So resultantly, during Monday's trading session, ASPI and S&P SL both declined. ASPI lost 84 points to close at 8,231.33, whereas S&P SL 20 index also reduced 13 points to close at 2,719.08. So this particular trend could have been seen in the Tuesdays and Wednesdays trading session as well. The major reason for this kind of a downtrend was despite the quite impressive earnings from some of the major corporates, this trend was continued because of the margin calls and the excessive selling pressure. And apart from that, the major tax revisions by the government and also the worries or the talks that are ongoing with related to constitutional change also made an impact for this kind of a negativity in investors' minds. So this the negative turn experienced some kind of a bounce back during Thursday's trading session, whereas SPI and S&P SL 20 both the indices gained some positivity to close in green territory. So during Thursday's trading session, SPI increased by 34 points to close at 8,099.51, whereas S&P SL 20 index also gained 16 points close at 2,671.72. But as of the idea of majority of the market analysts, there was no such strong reason for market to sustain in a green territory because the pressure that are from the margin calls and the selling pressure still prevalent in the market. So as it was mostly expected, market bounced back to negativity or red territory and lost points during Friday's trading session. That means today's trading session. So as accordingly, SPI lost 44 points to close at 8,054.7, whereas S&P 20 index also closed at 2,647.61, losing 24 points. So looking at the overall foreign purchases and sales throughout the week, fortunately, foreign purchases picked up against foreign sales, and it was recorded a net inflow of 360 million throughout the week, and especially during Thursday's trading session, foreign purchases picked up to record a value of 390 million, which was majorly led by the highest foreign purchase of pharmaceuticals. And looking at the daily turnover levels, they all roamed and hovered around a value in between 1 billion level. So, but the momentum is some kind of negative because of all the macroeconomic uncertainties that are prevailing. So, with the pressure from margin selling and the excessive selling pressures, we could expect this trend to continue in the next week as well. But this is largely dependent upon investor sentiment and with all the reforms that the government is going to take in the coming week. So looking at the treasury yields for this week, treasury yields declined for all the three categories for this 3 months, 6 months, and 12 months. So for this week, the 3 months yields stood at 22.75%. 6-month yields also declined by 62 points from previous week to 23.60, and 12-month yields also stood at 23.75% with a reduction of 555 basis points from the previous week. And looking at the spot rates, LKR depreciated against USD and EUR, but resulted in slight appreciation against Great Britain pounds and the Japanese yen. So the economic highlights for this week, it said the news report media reported that Sri Lanka is to recommence another round of technical talks with International Monetary Fund to borrow at least of a 3 billion US dollar funds via lenders extended credit facility. And the Reserve government is expecting to reach an staff level agreement by the end of this month. So this EFF program, that means the Extended Credit Facility Program, is the 17th IMF plan for Sri Lanka. And in order to support with this financial aid, it is required for Sri Lanka to have strong and sustainable economic policies, economic reforms, which is much of a need to our country right now. So these kind of programs will usually last for 2 years with a grace period of 2.5 years. Then we have to start paying back. So the discussion, the technical discussion in borrowing this amount is to begin in the early June. And as I mentioned you previously, the agreement, the staff level agreement is to reach by the end of this month. So then again, early this week, the Sri Lankan government has declared a major tax revision to ease the huge burden that was created by the previous tax revision back in the year 2019. So as accordingly, the majority of the taxes have been increased. So VAT has been increased to 12% from the previous 8%, and the corporate taxes also increased to 30% over previous 24%, and the maximum tax rate, the maximum ceiling for personal tax rates also increased to 34%. Apart from that, the Finance Ministry has declared a special commodity levy on several imported electronic items and also for some important food items as well. So this tax revision will result an increase in the prices for sure, but that won't be much of a burden to companies because anyhow this tax will be transferred to the end customer. So the major idea of implementing this kind of a tax is to discourage the demand and to preserve forex in order to import essentials for the country. So moving to the commodity market updates, oil prices slightly picked up during the week because OPEC is in the week to increase its per day release with the supply constraints from Russia and with the increase of Chinese demand as the country is lifting their COVID restrictions. So with that, the OPEC has in the idea to release a total of 648,000 barrels per day for the month of July and August instead of the previously agreed 433,000 amount. And the gold prices also increased during the week with the weakened dollar. Copper also increased, but this aluminium was experienced some kind of a decline. But we are expecting the prices to bounce back with the lift of travel restrictions and the COVID restrictions in China. So looking at the international financial markets, most of the world stocks have increased and they all gained throughout the week, especially during Friday's trading session ahead of US job data statistics because investors are expecting a slowdown. The data to prove or confirm the slowdown in employment market, which would convince the Federal Reserve to slow down the interest rate hike, their aggressive interest rate hike. With that, the rally started from the Wall Street overnight the previous day, so that particular trend was continued to take place during Friday's trading session in majority of the Asian markets as well. So apart from these highlights from the commodities and international market, one of the major topics that have been concerned throughout the week is the food scarcity that has been a result of the ongoing war between Ukraine and Russia because those two countries are in the top three countries to provide much of the food items to survive or secure the global demand. So with that, this particular ongoing war, the commodities were in such of a scarcity and majority of the African countries are going to get impacted through this. Um, so, of course, with all these conflicts, it's obvious that the commodity prices are picking up, and the impact will be resulted, and impact will be reflected in the Sri Lankan commodity markets as well. So that's all of the point that I got to share from my end. Here onwards, Sali will continue the presentation.
Nice to be with you all once again after a week. Uh, let me start with the ASI. The index broke below 8154 and the 20 DMA as well. It will trend within 8154 and the April high of 7811 before it reverses up to break above 8154. Till then, the zone between 8154 and 8749 will be the daily resistance zone. Break below, if by any chance there's a breakout below 7811, we'll test the support zone between 7426 and 7811. At the moment, as I mentioned, it's taking support at the 20-day moving average, but that does not necessarily mean that it can reverse from here, because we don't see any reversal signal right now. As a result of that, we'll be watching the area between 8154 and 7811 to see what's at play in the case of the all share index. Our weekly stock, or our stock pick for the week, we are going to continue with LIOC because it's in a very strong rally. As you can see that last week we were expecting this area between 54 and 58.50 to be supported, and that that happened. And also the 100-day moving average, which is this line, was also acted as a strong support level. Thereafter, today we can see that it had gone back again to test the resistance between 64 and 68.90 when it went and tested a high of 66.30. And what is our expectation now will be to see whether the upper area of this support zone and the lower area of this resistance zone, which is between 64 rupees and 58.50, whether that area is going to be supported. And we expect that to happen before a strong absorption, accumulation inside this resistance zone between 64 and 68.90 take place. Thereafter, it will break out above 68.90 and try to test initially anything between 68.90 and 74.10, and then we'll move into test the resistance inside this resistance zone between 74.10 and 78.70. So this is an important area we need to watch for during the next week and the week after. It'll be interesting to see how long it will take to rally up to test the present all-time high levels of 78.50 and 78.70. So let's see. This is a very interesting stock to watch and also to trade and take positions on moving forward, even for the next, from Monday onwards. Let's watch what is in store in the counter. Then let's move on to the US crude. It tested the resistance zone between this 110 and 115.40. It was nicely getting accumulated at that and tested the next resistance zone between 190 and 123.70 and tested a high of $119.98 on the 31st of May. Thereafter, we can see a strong volatility taking place due to the fact that we can see in a matter of 2 days, the prices came back again to retest the uh, resistance zone between 110 and 115 $40, and also taking support at 20-day moving average, daily moving average, and thereafter we can see there was a close above that zone on the same day, that was yesterday, when it closed at $116.87. Thereafter, now it's trying to test the upper zone of the 110 to 115.40 area until there is a breakout and a test above this 115.40, just like what we saw yesterday. This area between 110 and 115.40 will act as a resistance zone. The moment it tests the highs of this zone, which is between 119 and 123.70, until that happens, this area will act as the resistance. Thereafter, this will obviously become another support zone. So that's basically what we have for the week. We wish you all the very best and have a nice weekend and also a profitable week ahead. Thank you very much. Good night.
So it's the end of this week's presentation. Hope you all get good insights. We'll see you next week. And if you like the video, like it and share it and subscribe to our channel for more updates. See you all in next week. Have a pleasant weekend.